Okay, my name is Nora Haynes. I'm the lead designer on Perfect Draw, and this here is Iris. She is the main reason why the book is any amount readable. She's our main editor, as well as, doing some design work where it is necessary or relevant. Today, in this stream, as the two people who ideally know the system better than anyone else, we're going to go through character creation. There's a couple of steps to character creation. The main one is going to be figuring out what setting we want to actually play everything with. Then we're going to figure out our playbooks, make the decisions that our playbooks ask of us, and then do our card creation. If you are familiar with Powered by the Apocalypse character creation, this should all be fairly familiar to you, with the exception of everything to do with card creation, which is bespoke and weird and ideally a little bit interesting.
Hi, I'm Iris. I was waiting for a chance to speak.
I'm trying to do a good introduction here. But
fair enough.
yeah. The first step we're going to have to do here is we're going to have to figure out the setting. Perfect Draw has a default setting that we call Shuffle City. It's a very Yu-Gi-Oh! Vanguard Duel Masters type modern day setting where card games are the most important thing in the whole world. No matter what you're doing, card games solve things. We're in a sort of cross between Hong Kong and New York, but at the same time, there's this weird Greek myths stuff coming in to make things weird and complicated. But I don't think we should go with that for this.
We're doing something different.
I think we should do
Because
something different.
first rule of improv class is you listen to the audience and you yes and.
You're right.
So, to hell with that entire Shuffle City thing. We're throwing it to you, our lovely members in the Twitch chat and in the launch party. I don't know. What would be cool? If you can't come up with anything, we'll just, brainstorm.
I was thinking a sci-fi thing would be kind of cool. I'll be honest here. I think a sort of sci-fi setting would be really neat. Because if we go with a sort of sci-fi setting, we have some bases to think of our characters. There's a lot of sci-fi aspects to it, but it's not as obvious as fantasy. If we think of the big three TCGs, none of them are set in a sci-fi thing. We have modern, weird modern, and fantasy.
Lulu says use emoji. I don't think that's going to be possible unless we were doing play-by-post, and also, we're not making this the Lunar Plane. I'm sorry. For context, the Lunar Plane is a server that I run, and there are some people from there in the chat. Hello, everyone. South says Industrial Revolution era Britain. Pagan Joker says dystopian Russia, and Hero Girls VT says let's fucking go. Sayla says, what about an American 50s aesthetic? Oh, that's fun.
Oh,
that's
could
fun.
we shoot for...
Get some, card game prohibition! Card game prohibition!
Wait, that's good. Okay, card game prohibition with a bit of a dystopian angle. Let's go with, hard, evil organization. Let's go with this. Card game prohibition.
And I'm imagining, a noir detective smoking on a cigar and someone comes in and they're like, I need your expertise with card games.
Oh. Apocalyptic card game decides
jewel disc shinier than anything I ever saw.
Oh, hear me out. Here's how we can
right
mix some of this together.
She was going to be trouble.
If we're going with a prohibition setting, but also we want to go for some apocalypse stuff, then we could have it be that there's a underground ring of the poor and the destitute trying to deal with, this prohibition and people forcing them into basically the fights,
Yeah, that's pretty fun. You've got the underground gambling stuff, but card games, I mean, come on, the fucking Yu-Gi-Oh! GX already did that stuff, but they didn't do it enough.
Yeah.
We need to do it more.
Yeah. Exactly like Sector and 5Ds.
Yeah, also true.
I think this is a good basis for our setting, and then the next step is going to be talking about which playbooks we wanted to use. I'll go through the playbooks quickly, if that's okay with you, dear.
Go right ahead.
Lovely. So the first three you will have all seen.
Cards are used sorry, someone said cards are used like currency, maybe. That's kind of fun. I'm imagining, you know how in, prisons there's, stories of, how people would, use, shivs and stuff as currency? But it's, here's, my ultra rare, limited card.
Yeah, I think it's a bit of a barter system. I do like the idea of if actually wait. Prohibition era. Also we're in a prison. And
Yeah.
that's why this is all happening. The guards are doing this. And you know, the plot here is clearly prison escape. One of us could be like a cowboy type thing, another one could be like someone who's hooked up on some like weird charges that aren't entirely fair. And definitely, you're entirely right. They're a mystical sailboat. We should include like antis thematically. Perfect. I adore that.
Obviously.
Okay, so we got a couple of we got 10 playbooks. I'm just gonna go through them quickly. You guys have all, if you've played the demo kit, seen the first 3. The Resolved, they're your generic anime protagonist style character. Very plucky, knuckle-headed, a lot of passion, not a lot of skill. Prodigy is sort of, you know, if you've watched a certain anime called
I think everyone...
Yu-Gi-Oh! You might have heard of this guy called Seto Kaiba. It's that guy. Or if you're a little bit cooler, maybe you're Declan's. You're rich, you're skilled, you're not very good at making friends. The Glowing is a bit more
Or
of a
if you're
modern
cooler
archetype.
and also an unnecessary weeb, then it's Ragey. Anyways,
Yes.
onto the Glowing.
The Glowing is a bit more of a modern archetype for more modern card games out of our core 3. They're glowing because they bring people together. They're a beacon of friendship. They're the character that in most bad anime would just be the female character. But here, you get to make them the protagonist, you get to make them cool, you get to make them interesting, you get to make them do whatever you want. We have the Rogue. The Rogue's thing is that they always have a trick up their sleeve. They're very intelligent. They've calculated your next move. I understand that you have a 0.004% chance of beating me in this next move, in this next turn. The Allies' whole thing is that they don't play card games necessarily. They still play it, but it's not their main thing. They're the one guy who has a real life. They might be someone...
have a life.
They might be someone who owns a store, or someone who, you know, is connected to the players. They could be a teacher. They could be someone who isn't... Card games aren't their main thing, but they're still here. They're still getting involved in the adventure. The Spirit is a fun one. Their whole thing is just that they are not human. They're an AI, or a fantasy creature, or they've been isekai'd into here, or anything like that. And they have something that makes them, in a fundamental way, different from every other living, conscious person on this earth. And that makes things hard or interesting for them. The Medium, this is your person with a lot of power, a supernatural power that they can't necessarily entirely control. Yeah, don't put the ally in prison. That could lead to a lot of angst and feelings. Speaking of angst, though, the Medium is one of our angst playbooks. They're gonna hurt people by playing card games too well and using their dark, malevolent powers that they hold within them.
If you want to do like an Archie 5Ds, or like hell, if you want to do like a Rogue X-Men, then pick up the Medium.
Exactly.
If you want to be like edgy and like grapple with powers that hurt those around you, but you don't mean to, then like... Anyways, here's the Destined. They've got like a big fate coming that they got to avoid.
Yeah, the Destined's whole thing is just that they have an object, some sort of maybe once in a millennium style item, that...
Oh.
Yeah.
Wonder what that reminds me of.
That gives them a sort of power that is calling together a doom or a destiny, something bad that's going to happen in the future. And they need to be prepared for it. We have the Idealist. This is a very catch-all style character in the sense that what they do is they believe in something. They have an ideal, and then they have an opposing concept. And they're always better whenever they exemplify, forward, or encourage their ideals, and they're worse when they do the opposite. And then, finally, we have the Turncoat. The Turncoats thing is that they used to be a bad guy. They did something bad in the past. It could be, depending on the scale, something that was, you know, more fine. Or if it were going for more of a deeper setting, like, for example, here, where we're in a prison, The turncoat might be someone that is... The turncoat might be someone that did something really, really bad and now has to deal with the accomplices and the victims that they hit. And yeah, passion, skill, and
They might
friendship...
have killed a guy.
Yeah. As long as everyone else at the table is okay with them being a protagonist, it should be fine. And yeah, passion, skill, and friendship are tied to the playbooks. Part of this is because each of our moves are tied to our stats. And because of that, what we want to be doing is making sure that when you are glowing, you're really good at friendship, for example. And yeah, go off.
Each playbook does have like a starting stat spread, but also so that you can customize your character, you do get to like increase one of them by one, and then later on when you level up, you can increase any of them further. So even though they do have like these starting guidelines of this is the kind of thing that they're specializing in, if you like say want to increase passion in your glowing or whatever, you can feel free to.
A good example might be, for example, if you want to make a prodigy and you want to lean into more of the I'm a rich kid stuff, or I'm very, very skilled stuff, but not necessarily the I'm not good at making friends stuff, then you could increase the friendship stat so that they have a bit more friendship. But...
You've got many options.
I think, given the setting we've gone for, we're in a prison in the middle of a card game prohibition in 50s, Americana, Britain, so forth. I think the turncoat makes a lot of sense. Gifted Kid Burnout arc, 100% the medium. IMO. That just reads as like they're the Gifted Kid Burnout character sheet. But I think we should use the turncoat for one of us. Dear, do you want the turncoat or should I take them?
Wait, the prohibition was in the 1920s. I'm stupid.
Well, we can go for 20s. We're shooting for the 20s to 50s era here.
Yeah. 50s was, sorry, I'm doing research. Forgive me.
Do you want to take the turncoat?
This is the kind of person that
Iris, I am. Do you want to take the turncoat as your playbook?
Oh, yes, I would absolutely love to take the turncoat. I want to play it.
Given we're in the prison-like setting, I think that makes perfect sense. And I, in comparison, since you've taken a very, like, non-supernatural playbook, I want to take one that's a little supernatural and a little weird. I think I'm going to go with the Spirit, because I like the idea of complexifying this. Why is this banned? I saw South over there in the chat posting that maybe they're weirdly magical enchanted, they're addictive or something like that. And we could play with that for the Spirit, given that they sort of add a lot to this world.
Okay.
Yeah. So, the next step for us doing character creation is going to be, let's start by thinking what we want our character's general concepts to be. Do you have any ideas there, or should I just start?
I have like a vague idea, but like it's not really anything right now. I'm thinking like a character who was like kind of like a former detective, but they ended up being like a dirty cop, and like then by the time that they realized the corruption that they had kind of faced, the other cops were like, "You don't get out now," and they just threw him in and got thrown in prison.
Yeah. Okay, I like this idea that someone posted in the chat here that maybe card games sort of appeared mysteriously as well, and that's part of what is made them like immediately banned. You know, maybe someone got hurt by some sort of weird magic card game. You know, your dark card game style stuff, and because of that, immediately banned. This is too unregulated, too uncontrolled. Even though guns are legal, I assume. We're going to say that these were because, you know, there's no understanding what's going on.
Here's
Any
the
kid
thing.
could pick it up.
The reason that guns are legal here as well is because that makes the industries money. But card games don't.
If card games
Card
are
games
being
fell from the
appearing
sky,
randomly,
then there's
especially.
no big businesses lobbying for it.
True. And if we're talking about like your weird Bakugan style situation where card games appeared from the sky and then we figure out how to do rules for it. Your detective could maybe be someone who was maybe investigating what was going on with the card games.
Yeah?
Yeah. We can start with your with your fashion, your hair, your clothes, and so forth? Do we want to start there, and then we can come back to your name, pronouns, and your stats later?
Works for me. Dear, can you send me the document that you're using to punch all this in?
No, I cannot, because this is a PDF. I currently have it streamed to you, dear.
Oh, okay. In that case, I'll just tell you what I pick and you'll punch it in.
Exactly.
Okay, so
for
for hair, obviously brooding. 100% brooding. That was never a question.
100%. Clothes, we are in prison, so I do assume there is a prison outfit to some extent, but...
My character's wearing a prison outfit, but they've got their fucking trench coat over it.
Trench coat and prison outfit. Lovely. That's a beautiful. And for game tools, we are assumably saying that, like, we're sort of getting these in as contraband to some extent, or the guards are giving them to us as a weird sort of...
Mine is broken because when I was kicked out of the force and put in jail, they like took my card reader device and snapped it in half.
I imagine it still sort of works, but it glitches a bit, right?
Yeah, I've like put it back together with like soldering wire and duct tape.
Anything else on the top of your head you want to add to your character here?
Nah.
Okay.
Nothing coming to mind just yet.
I'm gonna jump over to my character then. For the
Yeah,
spirit.
let's see what you have in mind.
Oh, so we're going to. There's someone from the card games. Maybe I'm like trying to get you out because you discovered me. Yeah, it's contraband, but the guards take bets on the games. I think maybe you discovered me, given you're a detective, and that's part of the situation that goes on here. That's why we're together.
Yeah,
and I'm like tied to the card games. If we're going for this sort of aesthetic, I think we should have the card games thematically be maybe very weird fantasy. You know, your classic isekai bullshit, fantasy world, Final Fantasy, Dungeons and Dragons style setting for your card games. Does that make sense to you?
Yeah, like kind of very fantastical type thing.
Yeah, maybe with some, like, you know, every card game under the sun that comes out nowadays is a mix of a bunch of mythological bullshit.
It really is.
Yes. So we can play with sort of those expectations, but the point is, it is fantastical and not scientific. And for that reason, I think I'm gonna go with no hair. I think I'm, like, a weird, like, bold, like, magic fairy creature.
Bold fairy.
Yeah, bold fairy. I'm very
Someone
tiny.
in chat says the turncoat is in jail because they know too much and they're trying to keep it under wraps. Yeah,
absolutely.
That's very true.
For clothes, I also think they're not wearing any clothes. I think they are, like, pure magic. They are, like, made of, like, magic bullshit. They're a form. They're a tiny little angelic form.
They're naked.
They're not naked because they don't have clothes to wear. You know, it's just magic. Maybe it makes, like, a little bit of a dress shape for the TV just to make sure that you know that they're not technically naked.
You understand.
Yeah. And then for the game tools, I think it's just magic powers. They don't need to worry about any of that stuff. The next step, I think, is probably we should jump to our character questions. I think this is a great place to jump to from here. We have our struggles and our your friends section. Do you have any ideas for what you want to do for here?
For my struggles and my friends.
Yeah, I can bring these
look at the
out if you
options.
help.
So, no, I can.
Yeah.
So your struggles. You betrayed someone important to you. How did you hurt them, and how have they forgiven you? An old ally from when you were. Oh, typo spotted. Don't worry, it'll be fixed in the full version.
Yeah.
From when you were evil, wants you to help them. What with, and why do you not want to refuse? And a henchman or protege still believes you're the same as before. Do you believe them? I'm kind of leaning towards the second one because I think that works nicely with the like formerly in the police force, and then like when they tried to like when they realized, hey, what I'm doing is probably wrong here. They got turned on. I think maybe like the force of like trying to appeal like, hey, if you work with us down here, we can get you out of prison a bit earlier. And I'm like, shit, it sucks down here in prison. That's actually kind of tempting, but also my ethos.
So what do you think this old ally looks like? why do you not want to refuse? What is this old ally? They're an old police. They're someone who used to work with you in the police, clearly, right?
Yeah, maybe they're the chief of the force, and they're like low
Oh.
key, like I'm kind of like almost their protege. And they're like, "Come on, I know that you'll do the right thing." And by do the right thing, they mean police brutality.
Yeah. Offering me a way out of prison. Do they work at the prison at all?
Do they work at the prison? I imagine they come by from time to time.
Okay, so it's one of those, like, and they have authority here, you know, everyone salutes to them when they come by.
They've got their fingers in the pie.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Okay, for your friends, this is one where you're going to have to work with me here because we're the only two people in the game, so we're only going to be interacting with each other for your friends. But, first things first, actually, what baggage do you get from this?
We sure are. Chief's former lapdog
That's good.
is pretty good.
Especially if we would be interacting with, like, a lot of guards and stuff. They might be taunt you,
Yeah, like that's
oh yeah,
one that's gonna come in relevant a lot.
I saw you at the fucking police party, and look at you, you were like licking their fucking boot. Chief's former lapdog. And then, for your friends, do you want to read those out and make a decision?
Sure. Another player is the reason you change your way. Now, ask them why they care. Another player never stopped believing in you. Why were you close? Ask them how you hurt them. You tricked another player into working with you. How? Ask them how they feel about that time. I'm kind of leaning towards the third one here, honestly, if we're just going with the defaults.
Yeah, I'm also just going to answer
like, what if you were like a
Maximus's
naive
question
kind of...
here as well. They've asked, is there a certain amount of baggage you want to aim for at the start of making a character? You will always have a minimum of 2 baggage. And then, ideally, another player will make sure you get another one when they ask you your friend's question. So you will start with minimum 2, ideally 3, possibly more.
Okay. You accidentally pinned their comment.
Well, I don't know how to unpin it.
I did it.
Oh, there we go.
And then you pinned it again, and then I unpinned it again.
Lovely. But you were saying?
I'm leaning towards the third one because I think it's interesting if, like, you are this creature from another world and I kind of, like, almost manipulated you into helping me figure out more about these card games. But then when I had my change of heart, I realized, hey, what I'm doing is kind of fucked up. But, like, maybe I realized that what I was doing as a cop is kind of fucked up, but I didn't necessarily realize entirely what I was doing with the you was fucked up.
Maybe
so that's
we
something
come
that I
back
might
from,
need to,
like, I
push your
come from,
character
like,
out
a
of.
weird, like, super egalitarian style society. Like, we're post-medicine being needed. Everyone's just... Of these little magical creatures, whatever we call them, they're just friendly with each other and trusting. And if you were
They're
like...
so altruistic
and
naive.
Wow, this person was asking me a question, I'm absolutely going to help them. And then that's really good. But then I assume that you pushed it over the edge because you need to ask me how you hurt me.
You're in prison here with me now. You've been like...
I'm magical, so I assume I'm following you, right?
Yeah. Maybe when they, like, broke my equipment, they also, like, damaged something important to you.
Yeah, I like the idea that it's something very personal you did, though. Like, something very... like, sort of malicious. Where you, like, pushed me over the edge. Maybe I used to be a part of your deck.
Hear me out. I used your powers to, like, help cover up crime, and you didn't realize that there was something wrong with it.
Okay, yeah. And maybe, like, using magic uses some of my resources, and you were pushing me over the edge, and then you kept doing that, and you did it for evil. So, yeah. I don't know my character's name, their powers for evil to cover up crime, draining them. And then what baggage do you get from this, you think? maybe something related to the, like, what police brutality stuff could be really thematic.
Yeah, former corrupt cop, I guess.
Yeah.
No, that's another former thing. Recovering corrupt cop.
Oh, that's good. That means that this gives you a real opportunity to fall away. And then I get a baggage from this as well, because you've chosen through me. And in this case, I'm going to say that my baggage is low on magical energy, because I think you abused me a little bit, you pushed me over the edge. And now I don't have as much magical energy as I would like to have had. And I'll take this chance to do my struggles, and my Your Friends section. I have your old world is gone or inaccessible. What kind of world was it, and what people lived there? I really like that one. You have forgotten your old self. What is the only memory you have, and who were you? You have a cosmic opposite of the same nature as you. Who are they? Why do you hate each other? I really like the first one. I think my world is completely inaccessible. We were talking about this. It was an altruistic, really lovely world of pure magic. So I think what we can just say, homesick for a wonderful world, for a good place.
Maximus in chat says they have an addiction/corruption form using the magic regarding the Turncoat character, and I'm like, that's kind of fun. Maybe like my character like gets covered in like toxin or something when using their cards.
Yeah, that's pretty cool, actually. I think that makes some sense,
I don't know,
too.
I'll think about it.
Like, I'm imagining it's addicting in the same way that, you know, having a gun is addicting.
Yeah. When you have power and are encouraged by society to use it.
Yeah. Was kind and egalitarian. I can't go back. And we might figure out why I can't go back a little bit later. But for my friends section, I would love to figure out through this how we met. One of the other players first discovered you. What do they mean to you? Ask them the same thing. Another player is tied to your origin intrinsically. How do they feel about you? Ask them the same thing. And another player helps you feel normal and comfortable. How? Ask them why they do this. I feel like the first one makes the most sense here with what we're going with.
Yeah.
So you first discovered me. Am I tied to like a card? Maybe I'm tied to a card. That would make sense, I think.
Yeah,
if cards fell out of the sky and I'm one who can like talk, I'm imagining like this is a weird pull, but do you think of the FAs like fucking the Yu-Gi-Oh card FA hologram?
Oh yeah, Auto Navigator. Yeah, I know the one.
FA Auto Navigator. Yes, exactly. Let me just get this up for the chat.
Let me find it. I'll get it.
I've got it right up here.
Oh, you got it?
Yes. Like this. And you pull out the card, and I, like, hover around with the card. Maybe I can pull it around with me for the sake of me being able to have motion. But I am tied to the card, and it is below me in some way. And you find that card.
So you're definitely taking I Play Me when you... Yeah, I'm on it.
Yeah.
Sal says they've got a bounce. Fair enough. See you around.
Yeah.
Stay safe.
So in this case, what do you mean to me? I think you mean, to me, I was found by the Turncoat. I'll just go with for now. They...
Do you want a version of it without the, with just the art?
With just the art? What are you looking for?
The card.
I already showed it in chat. We're good.
Oh, I thought you said that. Okay.
All good. They made...
Sorry, I'm stupid.
Me, they helped me understand the world. And I imagine in some uncomfortable ways that now you're maybe unteaching me.
Yeah.
Where you were like,
oops.
Wow, power is so cool. But you have to then answer, the same thing. What do I mean to you?
You're like a vision of a better world. I mean, like,
Aww.
I've been like, it's kill or be killed. Oops, I need to, like, use my power to cut down anyone who society says is a criminal, and then I surely can't be wrong because I'm a cop. And then I met you, who's like genuinely altruistic and heard your tales of like this better world, and so I think I'm also going to take longing for a better world, which is a fun little reflection of your baggage.
Speaking of, I need to pick my baggage from that as well. So I think in this case it is...
Oops, wrong lesson, says Lulu, yeah.
Still don't understand fully, or no, corrupted understanding of the world. Let's just shrink this so it fits. There we go. Lovely. So I've got some like weird ideas where I'm like, power wins in this world, and it's okay. You like one time told me, oh yeah, it's fine if you if we put someone in prison, they deserve it, and that's whatever, something like that. And that, wait, I like the idea of specifically it being about prison, of, yeah, when we put people in prison, it's because they did something wrong and they were gonna hurt people in the future.
And now I'm in prison.
And that creates some real, like...
That's gonna make some interesting interactions between us. You're like, oh, you're in prison. Clearly you must be a bad person. I'm so sorry. And I'm like, I mean, I guess you're not wrong, but like, this instance doesn't count.
Okay, I think I know what my stat up's gonna be. It's definitely +1 to friendship.
Uh-huh.
Do you have any ideas what your stat up wants to be?
Fair enough. What's my starting stat spread again? Can you go find it?
Your starting stat spread is 0 to passion, 1 to skill, and 1 to friendship.
I think I'm gonna put it in skill for now. I think I'm gonna put it in skill.
So you have 2 in there, and then we should come up with names. We don't have to. But do you have any ideas for names?
Not yet.
Okay, I think I've got...
maybe...
Ooh.
Actually, I do have an idea.
Go for it.
Percival, like the fucking Knight of the Round Table.
I don't know how to spell that, so I'm going to spell it incorrectly, and we're just going to accept that.
I will just send you the correct spelling.
That will ruin the stream if I actually move any of my windows. But, what's their... Do they have a last name, or are they just going to go by Percival?
Percival. For now, I'm just going to go with that until I think of a good last name.
Pronouns?
My character's a cop. It's going to be he, him.
Yep.
They're not woke yet, sadly.
We'll get them.
But with your help, we can force them Percival.
Exactly.
Is that stream
That should be fine.
Is that joke stream appropriate?
My character, I feel like I want to go for something like weirdly, like, I feel like you named me. I feel like my people didn't have names. Or maybe they had like a really silly name, like my character's name was like a set of numbers. Like, my character's name was 645, but then you gave me a nickname.
I think the classification in like I was like unexplained biological entity 3 because like you ones, but then we all ended up shortening to that to Ubie.
Ubie, that's good.
So you're Ubie.
Ubie.
You are Ubie.
I'm Ubie. Percival, so true.
Crota says Percival. So fucking true.
Here's my take. I think my character is genderless. Naturally, they're a weird, like, made of magic thing. They don't have a gender. But I think your character... But they don't use pronouns either. I think they talked, like, telepathically with people of their own species. So because of that, there was never a need for that.
They spoke in concept rather than in words.
So I think you probably gave them pronouns. What pronouns do you think you gave them?
Yeah, at first your pronouns was it, because we're classifying you as a thing rather than a person. But maybe later on you'll get new pronouns as a sign of seeing you as a person.
I think you've already seen me a bit of as a person, because you had that, like, moment, right?
Okay.
So maybe you started using,
that's
like,
true. In that case...
she, her, maybe?
Yeah, fuck it. She, her.
So the it's or she her, basically depending on who sees them and how they get read. I do think they maybe have that sort of like weird magical like dressy form.
Wow, it's all she her, just like me for real.
So true. But it depends on how they see it. They have that little dressy form, so people will be like, if I see you as a person, I'm gonna use she her. If I see you as a tool, I'm using it's. And that's sort of like one of those weird growth things. And then we end up with a really cool arc where someone sees you as a person and then still uses it's and is like, yeah, because I understand you're cool. I'm not gonna gender you, buddy. But then we've got to make our next decisions. We've done the hard parts. We'll come back to creating a deck, I think, because we should do that all at once and explain some of the processes there as we do it. But I'll start with my ability, with my core ability here, which is Unusual Origin. I need to describe what inhuman thing I am. And in this case, I would love to have a cool name for, like, creature made out of magic. Do you have any idea for what that could be?
None whatsoever.
How about we just go with familiar? Like, that's what they call them. Or manalings. I like that idea.
If you want, like, a... Oh, manalings? Yeah, that could work. Eidolon is always a classic.
True. If anyone has a chat any idea, absolutely throw them out. For now, I'll keep manalings. So I need to pick 3 different descriptors for what I am and what makes me weird and supernatural and strange. And based on what we described, magical is a 100%. 100% I'm magical.
Yeah, obviously.
I think I'm psychic because we were talking about like there being psychic communication between my people.
You did have like telepathy. That's true.
And then I want to do something that represents the fact that I always have the card that I am tied to associated with me. So I want to say cardboard. How do you feel about that?
That's pretty funny. I like that.
Well, let's put cardboard in. You're acting as the judge, so if you agree with it, then it's okay.
I do agree with it. I think it is a very interesting pick, but I think there are interesting ways that could make it relevant.
Yep, and what this ability gives me is... So my card is definitely not waterproof, but I am. I think that's gotta be it. My card is not waterproof, and if it got damaged, I would start getting glitchy and fuzzy in, like, a silly way that would set up for, a weird little silly one-off episode. But, luckily, I'm double-sleeved.
Please, someone get this manling some fucking sleeves.
Exactly,
yeah.
I'm double-sleeved, so I'm fine, but you unsleeve me at one point and get me wet, and there's, like, a whole arc that teaches the kids about how you should sleeve your cards.
Frankly, the fact that there's no anime that has that arc thus far as I'm aware, is kind of a crime.
There's the Yu-Gi-Oh manga they did recently. They talk about it, for the
shit, the Structures talks about it?
Yeah.
Yeah, sure.
He's really obsessed with sleeves. It's really
I need
cute.
to catch up on Structures.
It's really good. But this ability, this is the cool thing this ability lets me do is, because I'm someone from another world, whenever something that interacts with one of my descriptors, like magical, psychic, or cardboard happens, I can take over the narrative a little bit. So if someone interacts with something that is magical, I can roll, and if I get a 10+, I get to describe the outcome of the encounter. If I get a 7 to 9, I can instead describe one fact that's useful. And on a 6 or less, I was wrong, so I give incorrect information, I gain baggage. But let's jump over to your special ability, which is My Dark Past. Do you want to read that one through?
It sure is. Let me go grab that one. So, My Dark Past. You have a history of villainy and evil that you're trying to put behind you. Whenever you take baggage, you can instead choose to describe something terrible you did in your past and list it below. Whenever you do this, you also need to choose another character, either a player or an NPC, to add to the person section, and then you can describe whether they were an accomplice or a victim. And the accomplices and victims are pretty self-explanatory. During character setup, describe a terrible thing you did in your past and choose another player. Ask that player whether they were a victim or an accomplice. I'm gonna say, I got Ubie to fucking kill someone. I got Ubie to fucking just, like... Well, if you're okay with that.
Okay, so fucking...
This might be a bit too edgy, I can turn it down.
Okay, depends what type of kill. What if it's like a... I think I would prefer, for the sake of my character and not making them angsty, I would love it to be something where it was
Fair.
killing them by the side effects, maybe. Like, okay, by way of using this magic to allow me to do something selfish, you have let this other person who was, like, starving die.
We lost watchers when I said kill someone. Yeah, I think that's appropriate. Like, very kind of like classic Yu-Gi-Oh! Like Game of Darkness type thing, where like you like gave me the power and you trusted that I would be like responsible with it almost, or like didn't realize the implications.
So I was like, hey,
And then maybe
I'm gonna
like
go to hibernation for a bit, and you can use my card for all the stuff you normally use it for.
beat someone in a card game, throws them off a building.
Absolutely. Okay, so
They were a wanted criminal. I was just.
I think you didn't intend it, but you went a little bit too far, probably, right?
Yeah, like the cards are addictive. Having that power is addictive, and like in that moment, I was like mad at this person maybe, and I like grabbed them by the fucking scruff of their collar and like, you know, oopsie doopsie.
So was I an accomplice or a victim in this situation? And I'm gonna describe the mechanics of this here because I think that matters a lot. Because the way this works is, for an accomplice, it is whenever you attempt to defeat, overcome, or compel to goodness the accomplice, you get a +1. Whereas if they are a victim, it is whenever you seek forgiveness from them or try to compensate them.
I think you're an accomplice, but gameplay-wise, you're actually a victim.
Okay, that makes sense.
Because I can't really compel to goodness you or anything. I was kind of using you, which I think makes you a victim, even if you were directly hurt by it.
I love that. This is
I'm
like
trying to make up for it.
This is like someone's mentioned in chat, and I really like the "you're not the first protagonist I played a companion for" vibe. I don't think that fits what I've done for my character so far, but our canonical spirit definitely has those vibes. Our canonical spirit is hope. They are the hope that was left behind in Pandora's deck box. And the person who had Pandora's deck box was Pandora, who was a hunter. We're going with they were a hunter of bad magical creatures, and would put them into their magical deck box to seal them away. And they had like this long history where they were their companion, and then through sad things that happened when they're at the very last fight where they sealed away the Olympian Titans. Hope was sealed away at the same time.
Also, we're very aware that technically the original translation of Pandora's box was actually more of a container that historically people agree that it was probably more of like a jar or an urn.
I know.
However, the pun Pandora's deck box is too good to pass up on, so you have to forgive us this one indulgence.
It's one of my favorite things we do with the setting. I'll be completely honest, it's really stupid, but I do really like it. Anyway, for abilities, let's stick in your abilities right now since we're right down here in your section. You have 6 options, and since you already have My Dark Past, you get to pick 2 more. You okay if I just give like a quick descriptor of what each of these are?
I can run through it.
Sounds good.
So we got self-improvement, which is basically just every time you do manage to remove a terrible thing, you get to do an option from take a moment to recuperate for free. And take a moment to recuperate has such things as like define new baggage. This is a good thing. Add a new card to your deck. Remove a card from your deck, etc. It's so this just lets you like get those in without the normal downside of take a moment to recuperate, which is that while you're busy like preparing and resting, the enemy's plans could be advancing. Then we've got take a stand, which is just when you expose someone's hypocrisy, you can force them to admit that they've done wrong or like manage to befriend someone who was hurt. You've got embracing your darkness, which is like if you know, I don't quite remember what they're called, but they're like final moves in or Dark Side or whatever in Monster Hearts, something similar to that, where a very powerful move, but you have to do something like actively like cruel to do it. So it's like, are you really willing to do this, etc. And you take serious baggage, and serious baggage takes a lot of work to resolve. Momentary pause. Lulu says, "I forgot if there was a deck size limit in this game. There is not.
There is a minimum, of
but
4, and that's just to make sure that you can't like
desperation moves.
the last you have 3 other abilities though, unless any of these have really piqued your interest.
Yeah, I'm getting to them. I got sidetracked. We're not so different, which lets you buff rolls that would have missed when you're trying to understand someone's true feelings or convey your ideals against a villain that reminds you of how you were. You've got Underworld Prestige, which lets you use your former connections as a villain to like trick someone or intimidate someone or get information. And then you've got This is Personal, which is when you're fighting with or against a victim or accomplice. You can roll with double your attention for risking everything to win.
I kind of love
and
all of these
risking everything
character.
to win. You already know what this does if you've done the test kit.
Yeah.
Yeah, there are some really good ones here.
Like, we're in a setting where there are a lot of other people who have a very similar past to you.
Yeah. I think I'm not going to take Underworld Prestige, because right now I have kind of been thrown into a prison. I don't think I can really posture very well as, like...
Fair.
You know. I'm wearing the prison outfit, not either way.
Yeah.
I think I am going to take a stand, because... the moment of realization where my character realized, wait a minute, being a cop is kind of evil, actually, and then immediately getting shut down by all of the other police around them, I think that my character wants to, like, stand up and yell, hey, this is wrong. So I think I'm going to take a stand, and
I'm going to push for We're Not So Different, because that I can imagine the moments with that, and they all sound great.
Yeah, I'm going to take We're Not So Different as well. I think that's fun. I think that's like, yeah, I'm going to be using that pretty frequently. So I will grab that. And those are my 2. So let's go over to yours and see what you're going to pick.
Okay.
Maximus says, going through the turncoat abilities really makes me want to formulate some sort of recurring NPC for a campaign that's like Riku from Kingdom Hearts.
Exactly.
Riku from Kingdom Hearts is 100% the turncoat.
Yes.
No question. They are the turncoat. If you want to be Riku, you play the turncoat. If you want to be Sora, you
play the
I don't
fucking
know.
Resolved.
I don't play Kingdom Hearts. Nora, you've played Kingdom Hearts.
You play the Resolved.
Yeah. And if you want to play Kairi...
You play the Glowing. You make her an
first of
interesting
all,
character.
I'm so sorry. Kingdom Hearts did you dirty. Play the Glowing. Part of why we made Perfect Draw, not gonna lie, is because we saw all of these female characters being absolutely shafted, and we were like, hey, this is sad. This makes us sad. Let's let them be cool.
Okay. I'm gonna go through my abilities now, because my ones are weird and strange because they're all trying to give me different ways to not be a person. So my first one is I play me. This one lets me take one of my cards and make it me. This card becomes my ace and must either be a warrior or an item. And then when I play my ace, I can play my ace card an additional time per game. And whenever this card is destroyed during a card game combat, I gain baggage. I'm absolutely taking this one. I love the...
Yeah, not even a question.
Yeah, I'm just going to take this now, but there's a lot of other ones that I'm conflicted over what I do, because I only got 2 options. You know, we're saying that I've got cardboard as one of my things. Born for a Reason basically allows me to have tools on me no matter what. So I could always count as if I had a gun or a sword or a shovel or whatever on me. And that could be really thematic, especially since you were using me. I always count as having a gun, maybe. Or I always count as being a gun or a musical instrument or a GPS. Could really work. Unreal Presence. While you have a body that can interact with the world like everyone else, you can also choose to take on a more unreal, supernatural form that doesn't interact with the world in the same way. And I can choose 2 benefits of either can't be hurt, I'm invisible, or I can move through physical boundaries. That one's really cool, theoretically. I do have the card, which would be the, like, justification that I don't take it. For my final form, this is, like, the opposite of Unreal Presence, because it lets me, instead of becoming smaller, it lets me become really, really big and really, really scary. So I get to take weird superpowers that are extreme, and I reveal my true form. This is great for if you're doing, like, an angel, for example, and you reveal that actually...
Yeah, this is your be not afraid type thing.
Exactly. Unholy Strength is just when I overcome a weakness, I can choose 2 benefits instead of 1, because I am very good at overcoming my weaknesses. And On My Father's Side lets me pick 3 additional descriptors. But...
Maximus says, are there playbook-specific staples? Yes, every playbook has one unique staple that is more powerful than the default staples.
But we've also got in the back of the book rules for, once you've done it, if you're an advanced player, to swap them out for a couple of other advanced default staples that are a little bit weird. But it's something we don't recommend you do
so
at the
that you're
start.
not necessarily pigeonholed into
But at the
one
same
deck
time,
build, but
this
it
helps
is...
you, guide you as you're playing, which is very useful.
Yeah. It gives you something cool that can help give you, like, a framework.
Yeah.
A lot of making this game has been balancing, like, accessibility and complexity.
Yeah. But my second one, I'm really caught between Born for a Reason and Unreal Presence. Unreal Presence lets me would be really fun in a sort of prison escape style setting, obviously, that I could be invisible and move through physical boundaries, but I can be hurt, or I can't be hurt and I'm invisible. Makes a lot of sense. Like, that's like me going into my card, for example. But Born for a Reason would do a lot to justify a lot of why you were, like, using me, which would be really cool, I think.
Yeah, Born for a Reason feels pretty cool.
Yeah. What do you think would be the Born for the Reason tools here?
Gun.
Gun and lockpick. Like, this is the one that justifies me having, like, a sort of amount of magic. I've got, like...
I was thinking more gun and rope rather than gun and lockpick.
Oh, rope is really good.
Though I guess you being a card, lockpick could make sense. Like, maybe I slip the card into a door and it opens
this is
it,
going to be the magical stuff, you know? You could do that with any card. You're doing that with me, and I'm doing magic.
Rope's
so I can...
pretty fun, then.
Yeah, I can have, like, weird magical ropes, and I can act like I have a rope, and I have a gun that I can shoot with. But it's like a magical gun, so it's not, like, as...
Which I just... Yeah, I imagine this is more like energy beams rather than gun.
Mm. That at the same time, I will say, we went with Unreal Presence. Me being able to go back into my card, and then I can't be hurt. It could also be that you used me to, like, you know, get unfair bargaining chips and blackmail people and so forth.
Mm-hmm.
But you killed someone, so it's gotta be gun.
But we can simulate... Yeah.
And it could be that, like,
gun.
You know, we've said that I'm locked away from my my good place, so maybe that is why I can't go back into my card.
Mm-hmm.
That is what that represents. That's the world, maybe. Is the world within my card is what that is. So now I'm locked to it. I'm hovering by it.
Which is why you can't get Unreal Presence yet.
Yeah, and maybe in a future level up.
And I think that's fun for, like, character development.
Exactly. But now we get to a bit of the complex bit, because we need to make cards now. And if you'll give me a sec, I'm just going to...
I'm gonna take this moment to get like a snack and go to the bathroom.
Yeah.
So I'll be right back.
I'll vamp for a second and go through
intermission.
I'll vamp for a second, go through card creation, and then you can talk for a bit about your deck while I get myself a drink. But card creation in this game, there are 3 primary ways you create cards. The first is pre-made card creation, and this is your easiest type of card creation. We have 40 to 42, I think we added a couple more in the most recent PDF that this doesn't have, cards that you take and then modify. You change their themes, you change their mechanics slightly in a couple of ways that we recommend to make things easy, and you give them a benefit if they are ace or if you can make them align with your gimmick. Then we have custom card creation. This is the very, very complex one that's very involved, but allows you to do anything and everything. Basically, with custom card creation, you pick a type of card, a warrior item invocation, and you get an amount of EP. EP is your effect points. And with EP, you can create effects, and then we ask, is it powerful? Is it versatile? And is it consistent? For each yes you give to that, it costs 1 EP. Then you can give it weaknesses. If it aligns with your gimmick, it costs a little bit less. You can have it count for yes twice if it's doing something especially powerful or especially consistent or especially versatile. But you go through that whole process and you make a completely unique, weird card that could be anything that you could do in a TCG within our rule set. And then there's volatile card creation. This is a very useful point of card creation because you make cards in the middle of a fight in Perfect Draw, periodically. We have a move called Draw the Perfect Card, and with Draw the Perfect Card, you are able to create a card in the middle of a fight to solve a problem. Because of this, volatile card creation comes in to make sure that that doesn't stop the game and force everyone to sit down for 20 minutes workshopping a custom card that, you know, is this powerful too? Is this versatile? And start arguing. Volatile card creation, simply put, you ask. You describe the card to the judge, what you want the card to do. The judge says, this sounds fine, or I think we should make it do this, and then you use the card like that for the rest of this battle. Once the battle or the session is over, you come back to the card, and then you redo it in either custom card creation or pre-made card creation. This is mostly here to make sure that there are some ways to not just lose what's going on. Yeah, I feel like my years of experience with every type of card game will give me a lot of good judgment to be able to do custom card creation. Absolutely. This is a game that if this game is built for anyone, it is built for the person who has loved the idea of making a TCG or spent a lot of time on Yu-Gi-Oh! Card Creator or custom Magic Reddits or working in that sort of theory crafting. There is a real space in this game that, personally, I haven't been able to find in other games, and I'm very proud of that. You know, as someone who's used to spend a lot of time on Yu-Gi-Oh! Card Creator, the thing that made Yu-Gi-Oh! Card Creator exciting for me is that I got to do the thing that the anime got to do, where every character had a cool deck that was resonant with their character. We get to do that in Perfect Draw because you get to make them. That's also something you get to do in real TCGs, and that's exciting. It's like I enjoy a lot and I'm very proud of. But Iris, you're back. Do you have any ideas for your deck? You're currently muted, dear.
Not yet. The wheels are turning in my brain. What are the? Let me see the prompt options for the
This is a good
character.
way to do it because
So the
we
prompt
have a
options
number
was,
of prompts.
Yeah. So the prompt options here are: select one reason this deck is important to you. The
That's a
deck is
good
a part
place
of
to
your
start.
evil plot you've now given up on. That's not going to work. Your deck is
It
the
could
dark
work.
and
It could be a
twisted version of
copy-themed
another
deck.
player's deck. That's also not really going to work. Yeah, I guess. Or your deck is a reformed version of a deck you used to pilot, which is the one that I'm kind of looking at.
That makes sense. So we have to imagine what your previous deck was when you were a bit of more of a bad guy.
Okay, here's my take. I'm looking at summon cards to my opponent's field that make them weaker, and I'm thinking about the deck that I gave, like the Corrupt Corp NPC in one of the campaigns that I ran, where their whole thing was they summoned villains to the opponent's field,
Okay.
and then like attacked them for extra bonuses. And I'm thinking maybe that's what they used to be, and it was like themed around like planting evidence, but now they're like planting flowers. Is that a little too silly?
I think that's kind
Because
of
it's like they're
cute.
trying to like make up for like fix the ground that they've broken.
Okay, but did they think of themselves at that point as someone who was planting evidence, or did they have a valiant idea of what they were doing?
I think they had a valiant idea, maybe. Maybe they thought they were like finding evidence, but like their gameplay mechanic is literally like obtain evidence from your opponent.
Maybe you create evidence tokens on the opponent's side of the field, and when they reach a certain amount of evidence tokens, they got, they died instantly. So it was like an alternate win con.
Yeah. Yeah, like placing evidence on opponents, and like the theme is like you're studying, like the justification they gave themselves is like, oh, they're studying their opponent, they're figuring out what they've done, but like also you could interpret it as they are literally placing evidence counters on their opponent's card.
Yeah. So yeah, you can definitely, yes, Azorius blue-white control is very, very, very keen, I think, for your, I mean, the most recent set that is coming out for Magic the Gathering right now is Murders in Karlov Manor, and that one, in blue and white, has a detective theme.
Yeah.
You could definitely, like, lean into that sort of, like,
The great
control-y...
puzzle is coming together before our eyes.
Yeah. So maybe you're doing, like, a clues-style thing where you have... Okay, what if you just place down evidence, and then you have different cards that care about evidence? So you put down evidence, and then you have cards that care about evidence, but instead, that was your old deck. Now, I guess. Then what does your new deck look like?
I think my new deck, like, places down evidence, but not necessarily only on the opponents. Like, now they'll place evidence on, like, themselves. They'll place evidence on, like, a third-party thing that either player can attack.
Is it still called evidence?
And so the idea is they're, like, sniffing out... Maybe it's truth. Maybe it's truth.
Ooh, that's good. So they put truth on the opponent, or it was called evidence, and now
or on themselves, or on, like, third parties.
That's cool. I like that. We can put that down for the gimmick. Puts truth.
I'm imagining a card that's like pacifism, and it's like, place truth on one opponent's thing. It gains inconspicuous and can't attack. Because it's like, I've deduced this person is innocent. I'm not going to attack him.
Yeah, fair enough.
And they're not going to attack me.
Then...
Maybe the keyword could be research? Yeah.
Oh, that's pretty good. I'm just going to write keyword research, just right here. There's no real space, too. That's a shame. But we can remember that, and we'll get back to it when we make your cards. What's your deck called now? What was it called, and what is it called now? Is probably a good way to start. Oh, you can't hide the truth where you penalize characters for not taking certain actions. We actually have something very similar that's already inbuilt to the rules for this. One of the keywords is called fumble, and the fumble keyword basically lets you describe an action, and then from fumbling, you can counter the opponent's play. But we also have effects, especially on a couple of enemies, where they'll say, fumble target opponent, and then if they do this, or if they don't do it, if they don't follow the fumble's effect, then then other thing happens.
Yeah.
So you're definitely right there, Umbrush. It was probably a sleuth or investigator themed archetype, but now that you're putting truth everywhere, it's probably still sleuth or investigator themed. But how's it like different than before? Maybe.
I think previously it was like a very noir detective kind of thing. Like Super Sleuth is a fun name for it.
Okay.
And like they like had a big trench coat, like dressed all in black, had like one of those like magnifying glasses held up to their faces constantly so you couldn't see them. But now you can see like their faces, and they've got like maybe a bit more of an angelic theme. I can imagine like little wings poking out through their trench coat.
A bit more priesty maybe for like I'm a
yeah,
researcher.
kind of priesty, like trench coat robes. Like half trench coat, half priest robes, half like scientist lab coat, kind of like crooked cop versus truth seeker.
Absolutely. Yeah, Rays of Light Truth is a really good theme for that as well.
Yeah, that feels appropriate. You can imagine like the ace being like illuminated by like beams of light, but like less so in like an angelic descent and more like peering through like cracks in a door.
Okay, I've just written this in. How do you feel about Lightseek? Ooh, Revelators is really good actually, Maximus.
I like if the a former version was called the Inquisition and now it's the Revelators.
Oh, that's good. and that way you
excellent.
keep like you keep that pseudo-religious theme, but then you've changed it.
Yeah, that's fun.
Oh, whoops.
We are so gaming. Thank you all.
Okay, now we're gonna jump over to my deck, and the important thing is, in my deck, I am there. We know this about me. I am in my deck.
Which means you have 2 aces. Very cool.
Yes, I have 2 aces. You usually only have 1 at the start of the game.
And probably 5 cards, right? Like you make your default 4 and then you add I Play Me.
No, it's one of your cards in your deck is an aspect. Create a new card, yes. So I do create a new card. So I will have 5 cards. My archetype, I want it to just be themed as like, I'm just doing magic, basically. I want to lean into this very, like, I'm a pure magical being. It would be kind of cool if I had mana as a resource. Like, I actually had to, like, I add in a sort of, I have to gain mana and spend mana type resource.
That's pretty funny. And I imagine instead of, like, you imply that you, like, have land equivalent stuff like an MTG, but it's more like a Hearthstone thing
Yeah,
where...
so I'm gonna name it Gathering the Magic.
Your capacity increases 1.
Yep.
I cannot believe you right now. I can't believe this. I'm gonna lose it.
Yep. Yeah, like reverse spell counters from Yu-Gi-Oh!
Yeah.
So your deck represents your connections to your card game you play, and its origins is definitely it. And for my gimmick, it is I create and spend mana. We should also do our aces. We forgot that. We'll also do our our other staples while we're at it before we get into proper card creation. But one of these cards is your ace. Describe why your ace is important to you. So I'm going to go for the one that isn't me. I feel like my other one needs to be like my main ace is going to be like a wellspring of mana. It's like the wellspring that represents my homeland, I think. This is the people...
Insert image of runic fountain.
Yes, like some runic fountain ass shit. Yeah, we'll both need a win con. Mine is probably going to be doing a lot of rampy style stuff where I have a guy that I can play for, or I can strengthen for paying a lot of mana, and I imagine Iris's is going to be a lot of do a little bit of damage depending on how much truth is around.
Yeah.
In this case, I'm going to say it represents my home that I long to go back to. And for your ace, what do you think they are like? Why are they important to you in particular?
I think my new ace reflects who I'm trying to be.
So maybe you're very, like, peaceful and kind. So it's like, yeah, so it's it is who I want to be, not who I necessarily am yet.
Yeah.
I spelled necessarily wildly wrong.
That's okay. That's why I'm the editor. Thumbs up.
Damn fucking right. And then we've got to actually make our cards. Now, card creation is a bit of a in-depth process. But we're going to go through it. I think the first step is going to be... let's do them one by one to actually show what card creation looks like. I'm going to do this over in here because I think this is going to be slightly easier to do than trying to write this bit in the space here where we don't where I have to use silly little bullshit. So I'm just going to put down 8 for me and 4 for you. Because I have a secret other space, and I will delete. I'm not going to bother trying to do that. So,
Yep.
we also have all of the pre-made cards, and we have custom card creation. So if there's any pre-made cards that really stand out, we can start to use that. But the first thing that's very, very important for my card, I think, is going to be Wellspring of Mana. This definitely needs to exist for me. This is where I'm going to be gaining mana from this every turn, and is going to define how much mana I'm gaining and what my other resources are going to be, how they're going to be able to use this. I think this would be an item. I'm going to say it's a... Because it's a big place, I'm going for this like a big place thing. I kind of want it to be a strong item. Because I want it to stay around. This is very field spelly. If you're familiar with field spells in Yu-Gi-Oh! Is what I'm imagining. And I kind of want this to... I get 2 EP. So... I'm thinking... Once per turn, gain 2 mana. I think that fits. It's... not consistent, because I don't want it. I don't always want it. Because I don't always have cards that can use it. It's not it is versatile because mana is versatile. And it's powerful because it is creating this resource. It is doing something that is actively true on the game.
We really have both decided to make decks that have, like, unique resources, huh?
I think that's useful. I think it's a good demonstration of what we can do with the system. You can do cool, weird things if you want to.
Mm-hmm.
Each turn, gain
Doopsie doopsie.
2 mana. And that is a powerful and versatile, because mana is versatile.
Can you send me a link to the character creation stream notes?
Already have. It's write us in our DMs.
Oh, crap, it is. I didn't notice. I'm city.
And then, what I want to do is I also want to do me. Because there's my character, who is Ubie, magical, Manling, lost Manling. Let's go with that. Let's go with a warrior. I'm gonna go with weak. And I'm also my ace. I'm gonna say each time, this should be each turn, not each time. Each turn, gain 2 mana. Oh, yeah, if your other cards have mana on them, the mana goes onto this item. Not sure if the other cards would generate mana. I think the way that I'm thinking of mana right now for this set is mana is just a resource that we just generate. It doesn't go onto a specific thing. It's just, I have mana. And I use it. It's just created as a system. But, since I am a weak ace warrior, I have 4 EP to work with. So first things first, I'm going to say each turn, gain 1 mana. Since this is much less than Wellspring of Mana, I don't think this is powerful. I think this is just versatile. This is a half effect. This is a half step. Notably, this also works on my gimmick, though, actually. So actually, no, let's power things up. Because since this works on my gimmick, I can give it the works on my gimmick benefit. And then I can make this powerful 2, and then we say each mana is worth 1 powerful. Which I think makes a lot of sense there. So, we can say each turn gain 1 mana, so this is powerful and versatile. And then, we can have an effect on Ubie, Lost Manling. I'm thinking something like, spend 1 mana, gain Strengthened. Strengthened is a keyword that we have in the book that basically says weak warriors become normal warriors become strong warriors, and so forth. It just makes things a little bit bigger. If they're a strong warrior already, then they become a strong warrior with Overwhelm, just to make sure there's a little bit more exciting going on. And they can just beat over something that already had, that was already strong. So spend 1 mana, gain Strengthened. This would be a powerful effect. I'm not sure. It's not consistent and it's not versatile. So I think we're good on that. And it works with the gimmick, so this basically pays for itself. So what I'm going to say instead is, what we got here is, I'm going to add a couple more of these, so it's a bit of a toolbox. With your mana on Ubie, you can do a lot of different things. So spend 1 mana. A bit like Aetherling, which is very thematic considering we're calling them a Manling. Spend one mana, gain Piercer 1. So now they can, when they attack, actually let's go with Sniper 1. So now when they attack directly, they can choose to be a bit, they can do more damage. And that would be powerful. And then, if we say spend 1 mana, gain Inconspicuous, that can also be powerful. Which means
long card.
It's a bit of a long card, but I think this is a really cool payoff.
Someone in chat says, so could Ubie spend 2 mana to become a strong warrior?
Yes, exactly. That's exactly the plan. I think the way to shorten this, I am realizing immediately, is instead of having this all be separate effects, I could just say gain Strengthen or Sniper 1 or Inconspicuous, which is way shorter. Inconspicuous basically just allows me to not be hit as easily. People can't attack me unless I'm the only warrior on the field. I'm going to go check in on what you've been doing here, Iris. You seem to have your ace.
Yeah, I have my ace here, or my first draft for it. It's Revelator's Judas, because I felt like a long time ago in this chat, South said, concept, add Jesus of Nazareth. And I was like, no, but you know what? I can give you this. And they are a normal ace, and as you see, I've invented a unique keyword immediately and put it up here, which is Truth Seeker. When this card attacks another card, it can take any amount of truth from that target.
Ooh.
And that's just how you're going to be able to get truth. We've got the ace here, who is a normal warrior that has Truth Seeker, and once per turn, instead of attacking, create truth +1 weak warriors. The truth here would be like how much it has.
Does take any amount of truth mean just like from the ether or from the thing that it's attacking?
From that target.
So you need to give truth to something so that you can take it.
Yes, and I think there'll be ways to like put truth on your own cards as like engines for it. Or on your opponent's. Or I had an idea of like putting it on a third party that either player can attack. So like your opponent is encouraged to attack and destroy it before you can take all the truth from it.
Absolutely. I'm a big fan of that. I'll go back to my cards and I'll check back into you in just a second as you keep making more. This deck needs a card called The Way, the Truth, and the Light. That's very true.
Say and it will be done.
Absolutely. That's a fantastic invocation. I imagine that's the thing that like, oh, you make that an invocation with 3 options.
Oh, 100%. That's what I was considering.
Absolutely.
I heard that name and I was like, yeah, this is going to be like a classic like MTG triple face card, right?
Absolutely, absolutely. Okay. So I think what I want here is we've got an item that gains me mana, we've got a way to spend my mana, and we'll create a couple more of those after. But I also want a card that just gains me some mana, a bit of a Black Lotus style effect. And you know what? We're called Gathering the Magic, so I think we can make it a Lotus. I think that's fun. Yeah, exactly. An archetype cryptic command is exactly what Iris could be doing there. But I want to make this a Lotus to reference that. So let's go with Lotus of Mana. That's fine. Magic Lotus or White Tulip is very good. Fuck it, let's go with that. This is an invocation. All invocations have 3.
I feel like most tulips are white. I understand your point, but I feel like most tulips are white. I feel like white rose or something would be more appropriate.
Let's go with Black Tulip. That's a little bit fucked up and twisted, isn't it?
That's a little bit fucked up and twisted. I respect that.
Oh, the Dark Orchid is also good. There's some good pictures in the chat here for this, but Let's go with Black Tulip for now. Invocation, because it's an invocation, it is free EP, which means, fantastically, I can say, gain 3 mana, and it can be powerful free, versatile, and, yeah, powerful free, versatile, and works of gimmick. I did just realize something else, though. The way that I've done things is I forgot that these both say each turn when I did the notations for these. So they should not be powerful 2. I'm just going to make this say spend 2 mana and keep this the same, and then for now Black Tulip's just going to gain 6. Because otherwise we can't have something as low as gain 3 mana. You know what? Fuck it. Let's have it. Gain 3 mana. Next turn. Gain 3 mana. That way it is a little bit fucked up and weird. But now we need a couple more ways to spend our resources. And we do have a good creature that's going to do something big and exciting with mana. But I think the next step is going to be, I'm going to have a look at the pre-made cards, and we can consider things from here that might be exciting with mana. Barracks lets you create a bunch of weak warriors. We could definitely modify that. Battle Dancer lets you attack additional times. That can be really strong with Ubie, but I think we want effects that don't rely on Ubie. I kind of want a warrior here.
Also, as a note, I did use a warband leader as the kind of template for making Revelators Judas. So
Warband
you can very
leader?
much use these as like
Yes.
a framework.
I'm actually seeing here Hedge Mage, and I really like the idea of using Hedge Mage as a base. Hedge Mage says, you may play an additional staple or cast an additional invocation the turn you play this. And I very much like that. That sounds very exciting to me for this sort of effect. So I'm just going to go with, let's just call this Hedge Magic. The basic for Hedge Mage is a weak warrior. But we're going to have them spend mana, so we're going to be able to do a little bit more. So let's say, each turn, you may spend 3 mana, play an additional staple or cast an additional invocation this turn. 3 makes sense to me. That would make it a weakness, because it's going to take 3, which we know is going to take multiple turns to get unless you use Black Tulip. So I think that can fairly well be a weakness, maybe even a significant weakness. But it's every turn, so I think it's just a weakness. Not cast twice, Tombri Empress. Just that you can use an additional one. So you have 3 staples to start with. You can just use a different one, which could be exciting or interesting, potentially. So I'm going to go with that. This is, by base, this is a powerful, consistent, and versatile effect. And then we're saying that you can do it multiple times. This will make it powerful 2, technically. It is no longer consistent, though, because you need the mana. It works with the gimmick. And it works each turn. So, for a weak warrior, you start with 3 EP. That's 2 plus 1 plus there. We still have 1 power. I think we could lower this to 2. And then realistically, we probably need to make this versatile 2. Just so that you can use that. It's needing to use 2 cards there. And then we don't make it a weakness. And this we'll call Spellbook. Would be kind of fun. Spellbook Mage. Ooh. Spellbook Manling. Let's just go with that. Now that implies they get mana. I kind of want it to be like they don't get mana. So Spellbook, living spellbook. Let's go with that. That's very Yu-Gi-Oh. Iris, you seem to have another card here. This is the Way, the Truth, and the Light. Would you like to go over it?
I'm still getting its pricing written out, but it is choose an effect. It is an invocation. The options are the Way, which is give a card with truth inconspicuous, which can help hide your own cards or manage to attack directly by invalidating an opponent's strong card. The Truth, which places the truth on all warriors on the field. And the Light, which destroys the card with truth equivalent to its power. 1, 2, 3 for weak, normal, strong, which means you do need a stack.
That makes sense.
A lot
really
of truth
neat.
on one guy to get that last effect, but
is this is
I think
inconspicuous forever, or is it for the end of the turn?
It should not be forever, so I'm gonna say.
Now, notably, this is one of the important things, is for effects like this, they actually work pretty differently than a lot of other effects. Because choice effects like this are a little bit complicated, so we have a little sidebar explaining how you could do them. Basically, in this situation, you make it versatile X equal to the number of choices, the number of options you have minus 1, and then you count the other power equal to the one that would cost the most. So, for example, here, depending how Iris has costed it, maybe the Truth is the most powerful and is the one that would cost the most, and maybe that costs 2 powerful, 1 versatile, for example. Then we would count that as 3 EP, and then it would cost 2 EP for the for just having the 3 effects.
Mm-hmm.
Now I just need to make 1 more card, and I would love another way to spend mana, since I have free cards that make it. This would mean that I also have free cards to gain mana, to use mana as well, and I'd like it to be a way that uses it in a very small amount. Given we gain mana in this way, we can also spend it, I think, and I want it to be maybe something of creating a weak warrior. So let's go with, maybe, let's make a nicer one. Living spell. What's the word for when something splits in different positions? When cells split. Do you remember what the word is for when cells split in two?
Mitosis.
Living spell mitosis. We're gonna call this a warrior. We're gonna make this a normal warrior. I'm gonna make this a weak warrior, but we'll give it teamwork.
Do you remember the name for the keyword that increases tension while on the field?
Pressure.
Pressure.
Thank you everyone in chat for telling me about mitosis. I completely forgot. The powerhouse of the cell, exactly.
And thank you, Anna, for saying the powerhouse of the cell. No, that's mitochondria. That's a different thing.
Oh, of course.
That is not mitosis.
So let's go with teamwork. At the start of the turn, you can spend 1 mana. Actually, we could make this, we could push this a little bit by giving it a weakness, which I think would be fun to show off here. So I'm just going to have this be spend 1 mana. Create a copy of Living Spell Mitosis, and then take 1 damage. Lose 1 life. It's probably a little bit cleaner. So this way, we can say that this is it's a weak warrior with teamwork. We can actually make this a normal warrior with teamwork, maybe. And we can cut the teamwork then. This is a normal warrior. Actually, I kind of liked it being a weak warrior with teamwork. Weak warrior teamwork means it has 3 EP. Its effect is... yeah, its effect is definitely powerful, especially since it's repeatable. It is not versatile. It is not necessarily consistent either, which means we probably don't need to do this, but it is very, very cheap. Teamwork itself is powerful and consistent. And then we have it so it works with the gimmick. This should actually be powerful too, because we can use it many, many times if we want to. And then we have a weakness. That said, one thing we know here is we're actually looking at this. We actually still have 1 leftover EP, because powerful 2 works with the gimmick, still powerful 1, only 1 EP, and then powerful consistent, and then weakness takes away 1 anyway. We can just cut this, and this is still a perfectly fine effect, and ultimately not actually that powerful, I'm realizing, so perfectly fair. The only problem is these could block, and given these could block and you spend them at any time, that would be risky. So I'm just going to add an effect. Create a copy of Living Spell Mitosis. This copy cannot block. And that just stops any problems there. And then I've got my deck. There's a couple things here that we probably want to see how it goes in actual play, and this is one of the benefits of our system, is you can always edit your cards. I don't want to use the tools we usually use to make cards physical play at the moment. We are currently working on a series of templates. We'll go over those in a bit later, because ideally, at the end of this stream, we're going to talk about some of the, a little, like, an upcoming stream where ideally we're going to go over some examples of playtest cards and so forth people have done. Yeah, go off.
Someone in chat said, is there any breakdowns in the book of how strong certain keywords would be when adding them to custom cards? Yes, actually. We do have examples of every single one of the in-book default keywords and explain how they might typically be costed.
If I can scroll up, I can just show you right here.
So you can just write your deck section, playing like a little...
Every single one has a text here that says costing this effect, and it goes into detail how you would cost this effect, as well as examples, what this looks like, where you would use it. And then, naturally, there are examples in all the pre-made cards, as well as, one thing that's really neat is, after each of the playbooks, we also give an example deck there with gimmicks and aces. We'll probably give some time once we're done with this to have a proper Q&A session if anyone has any actual questions. But my deck's done. I'm going to go have a look at Iris's.
Mine's still cooking. I'm sorry.
It's okay. You're trying to make them all look nice and like be completely like solidified, whereas I've done them like, yeah, I'm just talking them out. Let's do it together, you know? There's a way for the judge to help with making the cards here. I can talk them through and talk through like what your ideas are looking like. So what's your plan with Revelator's Pool?
Fair enough. I'd like them to be like, obviously Revelator's Judas is making a lot of little guys.
Yeah.
And that's fun. I like the lot of little guys. That gives you a defender. That gives you like a theme of like, but like little guys don't really do much by themselves except for being bookers, and that doesn't really feel appropriate. So I kind of want to give those little guys power, and I think maybe Revelator's Pool will be like, maybe they don't necessarily have teamwork themselves, but they say, oh, idea.
Oh, is this even for the opponent?
This is fun because it also means your opponent gets, even for your opponent.
That gives it a weakness, I think, importantly. Like...
Yeah, I think that counts as a weakness, and I think that's fun.
You can definitely make Paul stronger here, then. Or, here would be a cool effect to put on Paul.
Yeah.
This card comes into play with a number of truth, or when you play this, put truth on target card, or something like that.
Yeah. Hear me out.
Yeah? Cannot be destroyed by allies? Well, I'm very curious to see where this goes.
Hang on.
Ooh, we're adding more text as we go.
Place.
What's the cannot be destroyed by allies thing for? I'm very curious.
Because then you get to attack it with Revelator's Judas and take the truth from it.
Oh!
It's doing the research and then Judas is putting it out.
Okay, so importantly, this is something that we don't specify in the rules, but you can absolutely just, rule of cool, decide what's going on. You can attack your own cards is what we're going with.
Yeah.
Ooh, a truth-based board wipe is really cool. We sort of have something here already with the light. I feel like that's a card that's perfect for, like later on, this is the type of card that you make as a draw the perfect card, is a truth-based
Yeah,
card,
you
like.
make a card called like Truth Will Oust or something.
Yeah. Okay.
And then I guess we should costing this now.
Yeah, so Truth Seeker, how much did you cost that at?
I'm not costing Truth Seeker as anything right now.
Does it... Why... I guess you're just counting this as like a part of truth, is the point.
Yeah.
Okay.
Basically.
This is basically a feature of truth, as it is written.
Actually, think it's maybe more appropriate for Revelator's Pull to not have Truth Seeker.
Yeah, fair enough.
I think that's... and then... I'll cost gains Truth as powerful 1 because it's like... It's relevant for the gimmick, but it's not versatile because you don't have control over when it happens, and it's not...
consistent because you need to... It's not doing anything with it.
It's not consistent because Truth is dependent on other cards, yeah.
Yeah.
Cannot be destroyed by allies. I think that's just fine to just like.
That's
be like,
a ribbon,
okay.
solve a text.
Gives multiple allies teamwork is probably powerful too.
Considering it's not consistent.
But giving opponents, yeah.
I'll only just update him to normal since you've changed that.
What's one? Oh yeah. So I have a tiny bit more.
You have powerful 2. No, this evens out perfectly. Oh no, it works into gimmick.
Yeah, works into gimmick. Sorry, I forgot.
Yeah. So then, yeah, you got a tiny bit more. Oh, you could just give him something like very minor. Like you could have him always have teamwork, for example.
True. Hear me out.
Yeah. Or we could count that cannot be destroyed by allies as a thing very easily. Well, that then makes it so the truth matters suddenly.
That's true.
Wait, this is also at the start of each of your turns. I thought it was when you played this.
No.
I think if it's at the start of each of your turns, probably it's a little bit more than powerful 2. It's probably like powerful 2.
Good point.
Yeah.
Let's promote it to powerful 2.
Yeah.
And that's fine. There we go.
Okay, now who's another guy from the Bible?
Who's another guy from the Bible? I don't know. I don't read Bible.
You should try reading Bible. It's a good book, as they say. An item would be really interesting in this case, I think, to some extent.
I was thinking maybe a confessional booth.
Oh.
But, like, I'm not sure what I do with that. I also kind of want to have, like, something that, like, places...
What, maybe, or Revelator's Confessional is whenever one of your opponent's warriors attack, they gain truth.
Hang on. Revelator's Confessional. I have an idea. Let me just
Yeah, Peter and Noah are both
this
really good. Matthew as well. Isaac.
True. Isaac. And then maybe as a payoff.
It doesn't really need a payoff. You've got payoffs elsewhere.
That's true.
Like, let's cost this first, then see where it goes. Because a normal item is 3 EP.
For sure. That's true. Give me a sec.
Oh, hey, brilliant
And it already
loser.
plays into gimmick.
I'm really glad. Thank you for reading our demo. And Tech Priestess Seer 1. Crime Skeleton, absolutely. I'm imagining something like, we have the zombie in the pre-made cards. They're able to reanimate, basically. Imagine that, but then you also mix it with, like, can attack directly.
Rhyme skeleton.
I think the reason why Iris went with Judas isn't distributing the truth counters. They are creating guys from
Judas
it.
is not distributing the truth counters.
But they
are,
chose
like,
Judas to be their
gathering
ace
it
because
onto themselves.
It's like, okay, we're taking someone who sinned and we're saying, okay, now they're a good guy. I think is the idea, right?
Yeah. Yeah, basically.
Oh, you're designing your own card game. That's very exciting. I hope it goes well.
Oh yeah. Have fun.
Yeah, plays into gimmick. I think giving each guy a truth is probably powerful 1 at that pace. Maybe.
Yeah, probably powerful 1. Because I've been pricing truth as 2 truth equals 1 powerful.
And then you've been
turn,
using
rather.
it like that. And then Invis Kitsune arrived late, but will this be available as a VOD? Absolutely, this will be available as a VOD. I've got the recording going, so unless something messes up, we should be uploading it to the YouTube. I'll do a post after this to tell everyone how the stream went and to talk about some other things we're going to talk about at the end of the stream. So that means you've got plenty more to work with, though, dear. You've got 3 more points still.
Yeah.
So maybe gains 1 truth and something else to lean into this this effect. What about gains 1 truth? What if they disappear for a turn and then they gain 1 truth? So you know, like the Destiny Hero guy.
I'm thinking about it. Hear me out.
Yeah. If a warrior with truth attacks with 2+ truth attacks.
So that it doesn't fire the first time it attacks.
Yep. So basically you get a way to get in free attacks. That's pretty cool, I think.
Yeah. Or, like, you can have your own guy disappear so that you can protect them from something.
Yeah. That's really fun, I think.
I think I'm trying to make, like, interesting symmetrical effects here.
Okay.
And I think
this includes you. But that makes sense because Judas doesn't have to attack. That's kind of cool.
Yeah. He's making the other guys.
Oh, that's kind of cool. Okay.
Hang on. I need to add errata.
This is definitely not consistent, but this is powerful, I think.
Yeah.
Okay, one thing we could do here is we could make it so you can control whether they do, and then it would be versatile as well.
Someone in the chat says, I feel like having read the playtest, everything is intuitive until we get to the card games themselves, and then it becomes somewhat confusing.
Yeah, that's very reasonable.
Yeah, that's basically
This is why most of the book is trying to make sure that is as easy as possible. We made a game where you can make any effect.
We have volatile card creation so that you can go fast. We made volatile card creation so you can go fast. We made pre-made card creation so you can have simpler card effects and, like, frameworks.
Yeah.
Like, this is very much a card for those who want a game that wants to pander to those who want to go wild with weird effects. As you can tell here, I am making a very silly deck, but we've had campaigns where people have
as well
much simpler decks.
Yeah.
Like,
the important thing is we have the pre-made card creation.
That's it.
Yeah, we have pre-made card creation for if you want to just make things simple and easy. Yeah. Yeah, as Morpheus says, yeah, they're adding more generic card examples and sections for how common. With the full book, you have 42 pre-made cards. Every character has a pre-made book. You can play the game completely avoiding custom card creation as an idea. It's just the thing that allows you to do anything while you're playing the system.
Okay, I do have a little bit more left to spend here.
Okay. I think we just give this... Okay, I think we just give this, like, a nice keyword, inconspicuous or something like that.
Is inconspicuous fine with only 1 point left?
I think this makes sense here. Powerful, it's not inconspicuous isn't consistent because it relies on having another guy. Having another guy out alongside it, and it's not versatile.
True. All right.
Without card creation, how will I draw my one-off bug spray to beat Weevil Underwood? Well, the answer for that is volatile card creation lets you do it very easily. Custom card creation for something very simple lets you do that. We do try and avoid effects that are like one-off silver bullets because we think they create bad game design later because there's a reason you keep your cards in your deck. But one of the ways where you can have
Yeah,
those
there is a
effects
subtle
is...
disincentivizing there because, like, if you made a card that's like, oh, this just kills all insects on the field, well, now it's in your deck and you're going to have to use, like, resources later to get rid of it. You're going to have to use take a moment to recuperate. Because if you go up against a guy who's using all machines and you draw a card that says destroy all bugs on the field and there's no bugs on the field, well, then you've kind of just wasted that draw, haven't you?
What you do have is you have counter your opponent's play. And this is something that fits into that space of a hyper-targeted thing from a thematic standpoint. Basically, when your opponent does something, you counterspell, or you Ash Blossom, or you Book of Moon. But that could also represent like a hyper-specific counter effect, where you just say, okay, I'm doing a card that destroys... I'm doing a card that destroys bugs, for example. Oh, and if you're a bit confused of how card game combat falls out, there is actually, I'm going to take a chance to go for here, tomorrow, I believe, there is a wildly high-production stream happening from some of our friends. Nell Celestine is doing Dimensional Chasers. I would highly recommend filling that up. And checking that out if you're curious to see the game in action. But then you've got your last card here, dear. We've done our cards. The last step is just going to be our staples and naming our staples, I believe.
Yep.
Let's go for yours right now, then. Your first staple is create a strong warrior, then sacrifice a warrior. Do you have any ideas for what a theme for this could be?
That goes really very nicely with Revelator's Judas, I just realized. I kind of forgot to read my staple. I think this is going to be Revelator's flag bearer.
Sure.
The idea is that you were sacrificing a weak warrior or whatever to have someone who takes the flag of justice, so to speak.
Let's just shrink this. And then we've got to choose for our actual staple list. There are 12 staples in the game, and I'll just read these out. These are the generic staples that you pick from. We have Summon Knight, you create a normal warrior. You have Fireball, deal 1 damage to target competitor. Quick Thinking, draw 1 card. Summon Dragon, Overwork, create a strong warrior. Overwork basically allows you to... when you overwork, it means that next turn you can't use a staple, so you can have some slightly more powerful staples. Dear, some people in the chat are also asking for a link. Could you post that while I go through these?
For a link to... Oh, to Dimensional Chasers.
Yep.
Yes, I can certainly get that. Give me just 1 moment.
Yep. There's also a link in the most recent post we made. And I will definitely link it again sometime in the future. It will be on the campaign page. Summon Army is a version of Summon Knight that just creates 2 weak warriors, which means they're not going to do damage, but they are going to do... they are going to block a little bit better. Salve allows you to gain 1 life. Reconsider allows you to draw 2 cards and put 2 cards from your hand in the bottom of your deck. Funny thing with this card, I will note, because it's something that people get tripped up on and don't realize they're doing it. You only have 4 cards in your deck. So drawing 2 cards is massive. Your starting hand size is 4, and then you draw 2 more. You've drawn your whole deck when you first start the game, before you made more cards. However, whenever you run out of cards in your deck and you would draw, to shuffle your graveyard in, it costs 1 life. So it does mean that you're going to be, if you use this instead of, say, Quick Thinking, you're going to much more quickly, you're not going to gain any value, but you're also going to much more quickly lose out on your life, and you're going to get hurt in that way. Destroy, Overwork, destroy a warrior or an item. Double Strike, target warrior can attack twice. Magical Weapon, strengthen target warrior. Silence, target warrior an opponent controls loses its effects until the end of the turn. And Augury, search your deck for a card, and then add it to your hand, shuffle your deck. Do any of these stand out to you, dear, for your strategy?
I think I am probably going to take Salve, just because healing feels appropriately in theme.
Oh, what do you want to... it's probably like, there's a good name for this somewhere here, probably, right?
Yeah. Blessing of Justice or something.
That's pretty good. Let's go with that.
And then... I might take, like, Silence, honestly.
Yeah, that also fits pretty well.
Mm-hmm.
Holy Water's pretty good. Salvation is also pretty good. From the chat.
Yeah, Holy Water's a pretty good one, or, like, Purification.
Yeah, Purifying Water, maybe. Oh.
Oh, for the healing, yeah. Salvation is really cute for the heal.
Salvation, yeah, that's good. But you were saying Silence, which I'll just copy this effect because it's a bit of a long... I'll just say Silence. Silence a warrior or item. And what do you think you want to name this one?
I think, like, Purification or something.
Yeah. That makes sense to me. And these are your staples. Thematically, these are meant to be cards that everyone has some amount of access to. Commandment is a really good one as well. You can imagine
Commandment is pretty fucking good. Let's go with Commandment.
Yeah. Commandment. Then I've got my staples. So the one that I start with is look at the top card of your deck. You may play it or add it to your hand. And given what I've gone with for my theme, which is like mana and wellspring stuff, very cool to hit Black Tulip or something like that. Ooh. What's a Magic the Gathering card that lets you effectively do that? Because I could just steal its name as like a stupid joke. Let's go with just Scry. I'm just going to call it Scry because that's the best mechanic in Magic the Gathering outside of flying from a design perspective.
It really is.
Yeah. And then for my...
And it's not even close.
Yeah. And then for my other staples, I definitely want Fireball because I'm not doing a lot to progress the game potentially. Opt would be good here. But I'm going to go with Fireball and I will just call this Lightning Bolt.
Of course.
Yep. And then I do feel like, actually, given what I've got here, yeah, let's change this name to Opt, just so we can really, really lean into it. And then, I think I go with Destroy, and I just put in Murder, because I have a gun we've gone with. Overwork. Destroy target.
Anna says Bold Lightning. This is clearly Nora's character. Ubie's like name back at home. They were known as the Bold Lightning.
That sucks. I hate that, but you're right. Okay, Trample is pretty good.
I'm joking.
But I think that here's my pitch for why I think this is completely unrelated. Flying is the best mechanic because it is incredibly intuitive. Scry is, in my mind, the second best mechanic because it adds a lot to the game while also being very simple. And it's something that plays with a space in the game that people don't usually consider. Trample is definitely the third. It would be a lot better if it was just slightly more self-explanatory. But yeah, we've got our characters, and I adore them. I want to know where their adventures go. I'm kind of tempted. At some point, we might end up doing another stream later where we do, like, a battle for each of us, where one of us runs as the judge for the other one to show off the battles. But we might do that probably while the campaign's ongoing. Vigilance is pretty good.
We'll see.
I will admit. But there's one more thing I want to talk about before we end off here. We're going to do one more stream at the very least, and what we're going to do in it is we are going to be showing off some of the cards that people have made from both the playtest and that they have made with the demo kit. So we'll be putting out a form where you can put your cards in. Do note, if you're using any, you don't need to have any art. If you are using art, we need to have permission. That includes for AI art. You just need to have permission from any and all sources you're using. If you have art, do that. If you don't, it's fine. There's no judgment here. We're just excited to talk about some of people's really cool designs and hit some of them up. So we'll put out a form for that.
That's some really good stuff.
First, later. But we do also have one thing that we're going to put a poll up right after this stream as well. Because for the game, one thing we want to do is we want to make making cards extremely easily. Is a preview available for backers? Everyone has access to the preview kit, and as soon as the campaign is over, everyone will gain access to the PDF that I've currently got. This PDF. It's all complete. It's all playable. All of the art is in.
One of the tiers is as soon as we finish the PDF, it'll be available.
The only thing about it is there might be some modifications as we do further editing and make sure there aren't any errors one way or another. For example, if there was a spelling mistake, we don't want to print the book.
The book that I'm currently using for test writing.
Exactly, and we're checking through all of that. But we're going to be, one of the things we want to have is making it extremely easy for everyone who has the game to make cards. So we want to have an official version of it, because otherwise what you're kind of having to do is use like Yu-Gi-Oh! Card Maker or whatever, and that is awkward at best and problematic if you're doing a stream at worst. So instead, we're going to create an official template.
Peral says, "Oh shit, I never donated to your Kickstarter." Don't worry, the Kickstarter hasn't started yet. It starts February.
Yeah, it starts.
So you don't need to fret until next month.
Just about 2 weeks from now, which is both terrifying and very exciting. But I have 3 designs for the cards. They're all designed
says I definitely feel like I need to revise my cards. Don't worry, your deck's probably fine as is. I promise.
Yeah.
I'm just extra and make way too complicated stuff, and so is Nora.
Yeah.
But yeah, right now you can sign up for the wish list, and you will get messaged when the Kickstarter itself goes up. And you can also feel free to join our Discord if that's the kind of thing that you're inclined towards.
We also give updates on the Twitter and the Facebook.
Thank you all for being so hyped about it.
Yeah, but if you're interested in helping us make the game a bit, I have 3 pitches for the designs of our layout for the cards, and I'll put this up for vote for which one we're going to go with. These are all designed to be entirely printer-friendly, is the main goal we're going for, which means completely grays. And also completely adjustable. These will basically just be a form-fillable PDF where you can input everything and upload an image, fill that all in, and then print all the cards out easy peasy, lemony squeezy. So we got this one, focusing on a lot of space for your cards, for your card art.
Yeah, dragon.
Yeah, Scary Dragon, very much there. This one goes for a bit more of a Yu-Gi-Oh! Style design. With the attack points effectively at the bottom. And then this one's more of a bit more of a Pokemon-y style design, I'd almost say. But basically the plan here is just basically a slab of space for you to put anything, and it can be more adjustable as you need. We're putting a poll up. These are not the final versions, to be very clear. Whichever one gets voted most, we will create a template for you to make cards in. And that'll go up probably sometime after this stream in just a bit. And from there...
This is your chance to control what the future of Perfect Draw might look like.
Yeah. This won't be ready by the time we do the card stream, of course, and especially not before people have the chance to start submitting cards. So we're just going to do those in text, or maybe I'll upload them to one of these later. But I'm extremely excited to see how all of that goes. And thank you all for coming.